Good evening. My name is Tyler Haynes. I'm a student at the South College of Nursing. I'm currently enrolled in Role Development and Leadership under Dr. Bell Gordon. This is my presentation on my Strength Finders assessment. My top 5 strengths, unsurprisingly to myself, were learner, belief, relator, intellection, and responsibility. A short explanation or summary of these top 5 strengths are: learner is being characterized by someone who is curious all the time, has a great desire to learn, and interestingly enough, the process of learning is almost as important as the outcome. I found this to be very true of myself, as I frequently find myself interested in topics and don't really have a goal in mind of what I will do with the knowledge of that topic, but just the process of learning about that topic in general brings me great joy, and I really enjoy learning about new things all the time. Belief. This is another one that was unsurprising to myself. This is characterized by having a strong set of core values and your actions being guided by those core values and what you believe. This includes convictional decision making. It oftentimes shows itself as not acting too quickly until you fully assessed the decision that you've made. Third, relator. This one was also not totally surprising to me. However, I did wrestle with it a little bit. This was characterized by valuing close friendships or close partnerships when striving for a common goal. I do agree with this assessment in the sense that I choose frequently to work with the same people over and over again because I can trust them. And I think it goes hand in hand with the strength of belief. I know that they share the same common values as myself, which makes it even easier to work with them and to even give them more control than I would be willing to give someone else. And this plays into one of my actual weaknesses in includer. I don't like to include people that I don't think I can trust or I don't believe will get the job done, and probably to a fault, where I think the only people that I can trust are those who I consider close friends or close partners. Fourth is intellection. This is kind of going hand in hand with learner. I do enjoy deep thinking and intellectual discussion. It sounds quite pretentious, but this also relates to the relator strength. I particularly enjoy deep thinking and intellectual discussions with those who I have close partnership and friendship with, people that share the same values and convictions as me. Fifth is responsibility. This one is characterized by just a desire to take ownership, a commitment, and a tenacity to see things completed to the degree in which I think they should be completed. So taking a look at the themes of the top 2 strengths. First, we're going to look at learner. If you read the American Association of College of Nurses Essentials, you'll see that the essential competency 1.2 is that every nurse should demonstrate an intellectual curiosity. This is true. It is required for clinical practice because you have to always be asking yourself, am I doing what is best for the patient? And what is best for the patient is demonstrated in clinical evidence. This requires a commitment to evidence-based practice. Evidence-based practice goes hand in hand with the strength of learner, because evidence is always emerging all the time. New evidence is always being found and disseminated and being brought to us through either our organization or any subscriptions we have in educational material. The influence that learners have in leadership is through transformational leadership. As a learner, when you learn something, and especially when your other strength is in belief, when you learn something and that something positively affects patient outcomes, you start taking steps to change processes. And this happens through transformational leadership. It is by empowering the nurses, by teaching them what you have already learned. And the second strength was in belief. This is characterized once again by just being grounded in your ethics, what you believe your purpose is here on this earth or in the career you are pursuing, and service towards people. I know specifically for myself, I believe that I became a nurse because I wanted to serve people. I wanted to be around people when they were having the worst day in their recent memory. So this parallels the American Nurses Association Code of Ethics and Moral Obligations towards Equity, Advocacy, and Patient-Centered Care. I believe that as a nurse, as a healthcare professional, it is my job to promote health and well-being in the human being I am coming in contact with. And because I believe this, and because this is a deeply held conviction, I do everything within my power to make sure that I have a positive influence on my patients, either through interaction or evidence-based practice. And once again, the learner's impact as a leader, these strengths, the learner's strength is not just that he's good at learning, but he's good at disseminating what he is learning and how to give that out to his coworkers, to his employees, to whoever he is leading. So a learner has strength in strategic thinking, analytics, and process improvement. It's because the knowledge of the latest strategies puts the learner in the position of a thought leader. He is able to lead by teaching. He's able to lead through transformation as a thought leader. When a group of people look to you and assume or assign you as the most knowledgeable person, you get to lead in that way. This makes this makes the learner an asset to the organization for ongoing growth and forward thinking, because as a learner, we're always willing to read new evidence and change the process based on the evidence and based on positive patient outcomes. Now, the believer, how they impact as a leader is kind of interesting because it's hard to marry the strength of believer or belief to the idea of leadership, in the sense that one person's beliefs or one person's core values will not always be everyone else's core values. However, when someone has deeply held core values that they are anchored to, it creates a reputation of honesty and forthrightness. Unfortunately, it can also come across as rigid or moralistic. You have to be very careful here, and this is something that I have noticed happen to me before, being labeled one or the other. Believers are also passionate regarding patient outcomes. As I mentioned earlier, if I see something that I believe will positively impact the patient, I believe that it is my moral obligation to make sure that it becomes part of the process of caring for these patients. Also, believers have a positive impact as leaders because they're stable by nature because of these deeply held core values. We're also typically very loyal. There's an interesting combination of believer and learners. One is we're not easily swayed from emotional or subjective arguments. So point of view arguments, whenever someone comes to us and says, well, you see it this way, but we may see it this way. If you are someone who takes learning seriously and you evaluate the evidence, you can look at it, you can say, it honestly doesn't really matter how you feel about it. What is the fact? What is the truth behind the evidence? Also, the interesting thing is if you are a learner and a believer, sometimes you have to confront your own beliefs whenever you find evidence contrary to what you already believe. This is an interesting relationship between these two strengths. But once information has evidence support its value, we believe in tenacious implementation. If we see something that has a positive outcome, we believe it should be implemented. We're also passionate regarding evidence-based practice that positively impacts patient outcomes. My bottom strengths include positivity, competition, consistency, maximizer, and includer. The bottom two being maximizer and includer. I wouldn't say that I'm a negative person, but I would also not describe myself as naturally upbeat or someone who has contagious enthusiasm. Competition, I'm not overly competitive in the workplace. I see my only competition as myself and making sure these patients are taken care of. And because my job currently includes working with an interdisciplinary team, it's not helpful to be competitive. However, I do see the benefits of competition within the workplace. Consistency, I do try to treat everyone the same. However, because I love close friendships and close partnerships, I am slow to include others or treat everyone the same when I have friends that I have routines and relationships with already. Maximizer, selling for good enough, asking the question, how can we make this better? I don't frequently do that. However, I do love evidence-based practice and looking at how we can change treatment modalities. I am not one for perfectionism. I prefer incremental positive change over perfectionism because it prevents burnout, in my opinion, and it can be done in a slow way to change culture over time. Includer, I frequently do not think about those outside of my circle. I am not frequently aware of those who feel left out, and I don't make effort to avoid exclusion. It's not from a mean-spirited place. It's just I do enjoy the relationships I have, and I have not really desired to expand my circle. I've already touched on it briefly, but so how do I express these weaknesses on a day-to-day basis? Well, I'm typically more comfortable with smaller, more meaningful professional circles, and I'm typically more satisfied with, as I said before, incremental improvements rather than perfectionism. So, what could the outcome be of not improving on these weaknesses? Well, missed opportunities of academic, clinical, and scholarly refinement, as well as unintentional exclusion of team members who could strengthen the team's deliverables. So because I have a hard time opening up my circle, I'm missing out on opportunities with people who could make me wiser, make me smarter, expose me to new ideas. And I'm also missing opportunities to network with people who could be good resources in the future. My improvement plan is fairly simple. Both sides include seeking a mentor, which improves accountability. Having someone to ask, how are you doing this week with these things? Are you seeking to actively be better at these things? As well as reflective audits. These are something you can do personally to at the end of each week write down how you did. Specifically with Includer, intentional rounding with potential team members and essentially doing a kind of wide and shallow networking with those around you to kind of go fishing for new ideas and also show people that you are open and available to becoming friends, creating new partnerships with each other for the benefit of the organization. Also attending shared governance events to kind of solidify the notion that you want to hear what everyone has to say and you're willing to hear new ideas. Understanding my leadership strengths and weaknesses is crucial for developing a purposeful, authentic, and effective leadership identity. Recognizing belief and learner as dominant strengths allows me to lead with clarity of purpose, integrity, and growth-minded approach that values ongoing learning, clinical excellence, and evidence-based practice. These strengths anchor my leadership in deeply held values while remaining open and eager to expand my knowledge and skills. At the same time, acknowledging less dominant areas such as maximizer and includer offers insights into potential blind spots that could limit team engagement or excellence if not intentionally strengthened. By purposefully leveraging my natural talents while creating structured opportunities to enhance inclusivity and performance refinement, I'm able to evolve into a more balanced, relational, and high impact leader. Ultimately, self awareness and emotional intelligence enables intentional leadership growth. It fosters resilience and promotes a leadership style that aligns personal strengths with the needs of diverse patients, colleagues, and health systems. These are the references I used. Thank you for listening.